In the cold black of space, near the edge of the known galaxy, a single Xerathi scout ship moved quietly through the darkness. Its lights were dim. Its crew was tense. These outer regions were far from the center of their empire. No trade routes, no colonies, just silence. Captain Threx sat in his command chair, his sharp yellow eyes watching the empty stars ahead. His crew didn't speak much. This part of space made them nervous. Too many strange stories had come from here. Too many ships had entered this area and never returned. The crew didn't talk about it, but everyone was thinking the same thing, the humans. Long ago, the Xerathi fought many wars and won. They took planets, destroyed enemies, and built a powerful empire. But there was one enemy they never understood and never truly defeated: humans. They're not real, one officer said once, trying to sound brave. Just old war stories. But others weren't so sure. Old soldiers whispered about them, creatures that moved like shadows, killed without being seen, and disappeared before anyone could catch them. No recordings, no survivors. Only broken ships, empty stations, and that feeling of cold dread. Even now, generations later, many Xerathi believe that humans were just a myth, used to scare young soldiers. But the deep space regions, like this one, still carried the old fear. The kind of fear that made the hair on your neck rise. The scout ship's sensors beeped softly. Lieutenant Crix leaned forward. "Captain," he said, "I'm picking up a signal. Very weak. Non-Xerathi frequency." Threx sat up. "Show me." A small red light blinked on the screen. The signal was faint, almost like a whisper. It wasn't on any known frequency list. "Could be a lost beacon," another crew member said. "Maybe from a wreck." Threx frowned. "Or a trap." Still, orders were orders. The Empire wanted this region mapped and cleared. "Set a course for the signal." "Slow approach," Threx ordered. The scout ship turned and moved toward the signal's origin. As they got closer, the signal got stronger. But it was strange. It wasn't repeating like normal beacons. It changed. Almost like it was reacting to them. The crew grew quiet. The air felt heavier. They reached the coordinates. On the main screen, there was nothing. No ship. No debris. Just empty space. And yet the signal was strongest here. "Where is it?" Threx asked. Crix shook his head. "Sir, it's right here. But there's nothing on visual. No mass reading either. Just the signal." Then suddenly the signal stopped. Everything went silent. No sound from the ship's systems. No beeps. No humming. Even the lights dimmed for a moment. "What just happened?" Threx demanded. "I don't know," Crix said, his voice shaking. "It's like..." The ship paused. For 1 second. Everything stopped. They waited. No response. No signal. No movement. Then the screen flickered. For half a second, an image appeared, so fast that no one saw it clearly. A shape. A shadow. Something big. Then it was gone. "What was that?" someone yelled. "Replay the image," Threx shouted. They played it frame by frame. And when they stopped on the shape, the room went cold. It was a ship, but not Xerathi. Not from any known species. It was smooth black, like a knife cutting through the stars. No markings. No lights. Just there. "Is it real?" one officer whispered. "It's human," Crix said quietly. No one corrected him. Threx stood up, heart pounding. "Send a warning to command. Tell them what we saw." "I'm trying," Crix said. "But we've lost connection. No signal going out. No signal coming in." Outside the ship, space looked the same. Calm. Empty. But inside, panic was growing. Then the lights flickered again. A low, cold sound echoed through the ship's speakers. It wasn't a voice. It wasn't a message. It was just a deep, slow hum. Like something ancient and watching. Threx's hands shook as he looked at the screen again. There was nothing there. No ship. No signal. Just space. And silence. But the crew knew something had changed. They weren't alone anymore. Something was out there. Something that didn't want to be seen until it was too late. Far across space, back at the main command center of the Xerathi Empire, the last message from the scout ship arrived. A single line. We saw them. Then nothing. No trace. No wreckage. Just a ghost ship lost in space. And somewhere, far beyond the stars, the humans watched. The Xerathi High Command sat in a large hall filled with glowing screens and quiet whispers. It was deep inside the central system, far away from any front lines. Here, leaders made decisions. Here, they felt safe. That changed the moment the message from Scout Ship Vrak 17 arrived. We saw them. After that, there was nothing. No contact. No distress signal. No explosion. The ship had simply vanished. High General Vorik stood in front of the command table. His tail twitched, a rare sign of fear among the Xerathi. Replay the last image, he ordered. The screen flashed. It showed the dark, sharp shadow of a ship, smooth, black, and cold. There were no lights, no engine trails, no signs of life. Someone in the room whispered, "That's not one of ours." "It's not from any known fleet," said a younger officer, scrolling through ship records. "And yet it was there," Vorik said, "right before our scout disappeared." The room grew quiet. It was the kind of silence that only came when everyone was thinking the same thing. But no one wanted to say it. An older advisor finally spoke. "Humans." The word hung in the air like poison. "Impossible," someone snapped. "Humans were wiped out centuries ago." "Were they?" the advisor asked. "Or did we just tell ourselves that?" Vorik looked around. He remembered the old war stories, the ones told in secret. The ones about how humans vanished after their worlds were destroyed, but not a single body was ever found. He turned to the main screen. How did a ship appear in the middle of our territory without any warning? No one had an answer. A tech officer raised his hand. "Sir, we're picking up something else now." Everyone turned. The screen changed. Now it showed 20 ships, then 50, then 100. They had appeared out of nowhere. No hyperspace trails, no engine signals. Just there, right above the outer colony of GalacticPrime. The ships didn't move. They didn't send a signal. They just floated silently in orbit. "Why aren't they attacking?" someone asked. "They're not even scanning," the tech replied. "No heat, no power surge. It's like they're asleep." General Vorik's claws tapped on the table. "Get visuals from GalacticPrime, civilian cams, anything." The screen showed the colony city. People were running through the streets. Parents pulled their children into shelters. No sirens rang. The systems weren't working. But above the city, in the orange sky, the black shapes hovered. Silent. Motionless. Watching. "Try to hail them," Vorik ordered. "We've tried every frequency," the comms officer said. "There's no response." Suddenly, one of the human ships moved. Just one. It floated closer to the surface, slowly, like a predator circling. Then the command center's main screen went black. A message appeared. "We remember everything." That was all. No voice, no face. Just those words. And then the image vanished. The room exploded in noise. What does that mean? Is this a declaration of war? Why haven't they attacked yet? Where is our fleet? Vorik raised his hand. Silence sea. The room quieted. He stared at the now blank screen. "If this is truly the return of the humans," he said slowly, "then we are not ready." An officer looked pale. "Should we prepare to strike first?" "No," Vorik said. "That would be foolish. We need information. We need to know how they returned and what they'd want." He turned to the advisors. "Send scouts to nearby systems. Quietly. Watch their ships. Do not engage. Do not speak. We learn first, then we act. Someone asked, "What if they are listening already?" Vorik paused. He had no answer. Far away, in the darkness of space, the human fleet didn't move. They didn't fire. They didn't speak. They just existed, like ghosts floating in the night. Waiting. And the galaxy, for the first time in many years, began to feel fear again. Because the stories were true. Humans were real. And now, they were back. On the far edge of the GalacticPrime system, the Xerathi observation station floated silently. It had no weapons, just long-range sensors and cameras. Its only job was to watch. Now it watched something no one had ever seen before. Dozens of strange black ships hovered in perfect silence above the colony. No one moved. No shots were fired. The ships just waited like statues in the sky. Inside the station, Officer Drain sat alone at his console. His sharp fingers tapped nervously as he stared at the screen. He had been watching for 10 hours now. Still, the human ships did not move. He had already sent 4 reports to High Command. No change. No sound. No action. But Drain felt something. A pressure in the air. Like the calm before a terrible storm. The station's AI softly beeped. Warning. Anomaly detected. He leaned forward. Show me. A new window appeared. In the nearby Zereth belt, a collection of small mining ships had gone dark. No distress signals, no damage, just silence. All of them, he asked. Yes, 11 ships, no contact, all systems silent. He checked the map. The mining fleet had been far from the human ships. Too far for a normal weapon strike. But now, nothing was left. Just cold, empty ships. Drain's hand shook as he opened a communication channel. To command, this is Observation Station Delta. Mining fleet has gone silent. No signs of attack, no damage. They're just empty. He waited for a reply. Nothing came. Send again, he told the AI. Signal not received. No connection to command. He checked the systems. The station's comms were working. Power was stable. But all links to the outside had vanished. He was cut off. He looked back at the screen. The black ship still hovered above GalacticPrime. Then one of them turned. It moved slowly, turning its front toward his station. Drain felt his heart stop. AI confirmed target lock. No weapon systems detected. Then why is it turning? Unknown. The ship drifted closer. Still silent. Still without sound or light. It felt like something from a dream or a nightmare. Drain stood up, unsure why. His instincts screamed at him. The human ship stopped just a few kilometers away. It didn't fire. It didn't speak. Instead, the lights in his station went out. Complete darkness. Then, sound not from the speakers. It was in the air itself. A low hum like an old machine powering on. But it had no source. Drain looked around. His console was dark. No emergency lights. No backup power. He was completely alone. He tried to speak, but his voice didn't sound right. It felt muffled, like the room itself had changed. Then, in the center of the room, a figure appeared. Not real, more like a shadow made of light. It had no face, no features. Just a tall shape, human-like, watching him. He froze. The figure didn't move. It didn't speak. It just stood there. Then a voice filled the air. Calm, cold. You watched us. Now we watch you. And then it was gone. The lights came back. The screens turned on. Everything was normal again. But Drain was not the same. He quickly recorded a new message. To command. Human ship approached. No weapons. No attack. They shut everything down. They entered the station. Not physically. I saw something. I heard them. They spoke. He paused and added, They don't need weapons. They don't need force. They just appear. And when they do, everything stops. He sent the message. This time it went through. But by the time High Command received it, 2 more stations had gone silent. No alarms, no explosions, just silence. All across the outer systems, human ships were appearing. Quietly, slowly, watching. Sometimes one ship, sometimes many. No pattern, no demands, only presence. And everywhere they appeared, communications failed. Ships went dark. Stations stopped working. There was no war, not yet. But the silence was louder than any weapon. In the halls of the Empire, leaders argued. "They're showing power," one general said. "They're testing us," said another. Vorek, standing before the others, said nothing for a long time. Then he finally spoke. "They're sending a message." He looked around the room. "They want us to know that we can't stop them." And far away, above planets and in empty space, the black ships remained. Waiting. Watching. Silent. Like ghosts returned from the dead. The city of Kareth-4 on Zareth Prime used to be loud. Tall buildings hummed with energy. Aircars flew between towers. The streets were filled with alien life, workers, traders, children. But now it was quiet. Above the city, the human ships still hovered, black and cold like stones floating in the sky. They hadn't moved in 2 days. No weapons, no signals, no sound. People didn't speak much anymore. They whispered. They stayed inside. Some tried to leave the city, but nothing flew. Every ship, every vehicle had stopped working the moment the humans arrived. Shara, a young technician, sat near the power station's emergency panel. She had been trying to restart the city grid for hours, but every time she got close, something strange happened. The system would crash, or wires would burn out, or the power would simply vanish. She looked up at the nearest human ship through the glass ceiling. It didn't look dangerous. It didn't need to look alive, but it felt like it was watching. Her supervisor, Krell, stood behind her. "Give it a rest," he said. "Nothing's going to work. They're stopping everything." Shara shook her head. "They haven't hurt anyone. Not yet. Maybe they're just observing." "Observing?" Krell laughed bitterly. "The mining fleet is gone. 2 stations went dark. Ships aren't flying. That's not observation. That's control." Shara stood. "But why haven't they attacked? They could destroy the city in seconds." Krell looked up. "That's what scares me. They don't need to attack. They're making us fall apart without firing a single shot." Suddenly, a loud hum passed through the building. Lights flickered. The air grew cold. Then silence. Krell and Shara both looked at each other. It was happening again. They'd ran outside. The streets were still. People stood frozen, looking up. A new ship had arrived. It was larger than the others. Wider, longer, darker. It didn't appear from the sky, it simply was there, like it had always been. One moment the sky was clear. The next, it was filled with shadow. No engines, no sound. The city fell to its knees. Not from orders, from fear. In the governor's tower, alarms flashed uselessly. Governor Rixar shouted into his communicator, but the signal was dead. He threw the device across the room. His aide, Vina, spoke softly. "We have no contact with High Command." "I don't care about High Command," he shouted. "I care about the city. What do they want?" Vina didn't answer. The human ship moved. Not fast, not with violence, just one slow shift. And then from the bottom of the ship, a beam of light shone down onto the center of the city. It wasn't hot. It didn't burn. But everything it touched went quiet. Screens turned off. Power died. Even people's voices became softer. Then, inside the light, something formed. Not a human, not a machine. A symbol. It hovered above the city like a ghostly sign. A circle inside a triangle, surrounded by 13 stars. No one knew what it meant. But everyone knew it was a message. Krull stared at it. What is that? Chera's voice trembled. I think it's a warning. Suddenly, the lights returned. The ships above the city pulled back slowly. Not fast, not in fear, just like they were done. The shadow ship vanished the same way it came, without sound, without sign. Just gone. The city remained silent. No one cheered. No one moved. Governor Rixar stared out the window. I want that symbol decoded. I want answers. We're working on it, Vina said, voice shaking. Then the governor said something no one had expected. I want a message sent to High Command. We need to open communication with the humans. Vina blinked. But we haven't even proven they'll listen. Rexar turned to her. They're already listening. They've been listening this whole time. Back in the outer systems, High General Vorik received the first clear transmission from Zareth Prime in days. He read the report in silence. He saw the image of the symbol. He forwarded it to the ancient archives, places filled with long-forgotten knowledge. Moments later, the answer returned. The symbol had been used once before, hundreds of years ago. It was found on a human distress beacon during the final days of the war. A message was included with that symbol back then. One single phrase. Observe, warn, then decide. Vorik stood alone in his chamber, staring at the screen. If this was the warning, then the decision would come next, and no one was ready. The stars above Zareth Prime looked calm, peaceful, but peace was a lie now. Far from the planet, deep in empty space, human ships moved in silence. Their engines left no trail. Their shields made them look like shadows. To the alien sensors, the area was empty. But it wasn't. Inside one of the lead ships, Captain Elena Rourke stood before a large table. A map of alien systems glowed on it. Red dots marked enemy ships. Yellow marked colonies. One dot blinked slowly, Zareth Prime. Zareth is contained, said Commander Malik. They're scared. Powerless. Elena nodded. They saw the symbol? Yes, we confirmed it. Full projection. They didn't fire. They didn't even resist. Good, she said quietly. Then they understand what comes next. Another officer spoke from the side. Ma'am, the fleet is ready. Do we proceed with Phase 2? Elena looked at the stars on the screen. Not yet. They need to feel safe first. She turned to the table and tapped a system on the edge of the map. Get their supply routes. Quietly. No wreckage. No survivors. Yes, Captain. Malik leaned in. You really think they'll keep sitting still? Once they find out we're not ghosts, they'll come for us. Elena looked him in the eye. Let them. We've waited long enough. It's time they learn why humans became ghosts. Back on Zareth Prime, things were not the same. The power had returned. Communications were back. But people still whispered. Fear had taken root. In the governor's tower, Rexstar stood in front of a large screen. The human symbol floated there. The circle, triangle, and 13 stars. His science team had tried everything. Scans, translations, historical searches. Nothing made sense. Except one old file found deep in the archives. A report written by a forgotten diplomat from long ago. It told the story of an enemy who disappeared after a final battle. The humans. Everyone believed they were wiped out. But now it seemed they had only gone into hiding. And returned stronger. We never understood them, Rexar said softly. We never asked why they fought, why they stopped. His aide Vina looked at him. You think they want revenge? Rexar shook his head. No, I think they want to remind us. Elsewhere on a deep space cargo vessel, Captain Rirak hummed as his crew loaded crates into storage bays. The stars outside were quiet, and nothing had moved in days. Then the lights flickered. Eh? What now? The engines stuttered. Communications cut off. Rirak rushed to the main screen. Nothing there, just darkness. But when he stared deeper, he saw it. A shape moving in the void. Long, silent, human. He didn't even have time to scream. Reports began flooding into high command. Cargo ships missing. Space stations silent. No wreckage. Just nothing. General Vorik read the messages one after another. His face stayed calm, but his eyes showed fear. "They're hunting," he said. "Not attacking. Hunting." One of his staff spoke up. "We should strike first, before they disappear again." Vorik shook his head. "You don't strike ghosts. You survive them." The symbol appeared again, this time on an old relay station far from any planet. This time, a second message came with it. 2 words. Phase 2. Inside the main human ship, Alina watched the silent destruction unfold on her screens. No explosions. No screams. Just systems going dark, one by one. "They always thought of us as weak," she said quietly. "As gone. Forgotten." Malik nodded. "Now they're remembering." "But it's not enough," she continued. "They need to understand why we vanished." She stepped forward, typing a command into the ship's core system. A hologram appeared. It showed a battle from centuries ago. Alien ships surrounding Earth. Cities on fire. Then silence, followed by nothing. The humans had disappeared. But they hadn't died. They had evolved. They had waited. They had learned how to become invisible. And now they were showing the galaxy what fear really felt like. Back on Zareth Prime, children stared up at the night sky. One of them pointed. "Look, the stars are gone." The others laughed. But when they looked closer, they saw it. A patch of stars had vanished, blocked by something massive, something moving. Silently, the children were the first to notice it. Above Zareth Prime, in the dark sky full of stars, something had changed. A large patch of stars had disappeared. Not because they faded, but because something was blocking them. Something big. At first, no one believed the children, but then more people looked up. Scientists checked telescopes. Military satellites sent alerts. The shape wasn't just big. It was huge. A ship. No. Many ships, lined together, motionless, silent. The humans had returned. But this time, they were not hiding. They were showing themselves. In the control tower on Zareth Prime, alarms blared. Officers ran between consoles. Screens flashed red. Data poured in. Admiral Kareth, leader of planetary defense, stood at the center of the chaos. "Where did they come from?" he barked. "No warp signature, sir," one officer shouted. "They didn't enter our space. They were just there." "How is that possible?" No one had an answer. The sky was now filled with human ships. Dark, still, watching. They weren't firing. They weren't moving. But they were there. And that made everyone nervous. In the capital, people stayed inside. Streets were empty. News channels played the same message over and over. "Do not panic. Stay indoors. The fleet is being monitored." But everyone was already afraid. They had grown used to hearing stories, tales of humans who disappeared, who turned into ghosts, who could not be found. But no one expected them to return like this. With silence. With shadows. With presence. Deep inside the human flyship, Captain Elena Rourke watched the planet below. The alien cities glowed under thick clouds. Ships hovered in the atmosphere. Defense systems were fully active. Yet no one had fired. "They're afraid," said Commander Malik. "They should be," Elena replied. "This isn't an attack. This is a message." She turned to her crew. "Send the projection." They obeyed. Across Zareth Prime, screens turned black. Billboards shut down. Holograms stopped playing. And then, all at once, a single image appeared everywhere. It was the same human symbol, circle, triangle, 13 stars. But this time there was more. A voice. A deep, clear voice. Not loud, but calm. You forgot us. You hunted us. You called us ghosts. Now, remember. Then the message ended. Screens went dead, and silence returned. In the alien council chamber, the leaders were speechless. One elder whispered, "This isn't war. This is judgment." "They haven't fired a single shot," another added. "Because they don't need to," said Governor Rixar, now pale. "They've already won. They controlled the sky." No one argued. But while the leaders stayed frozen, others were not so calm. A young alien commander named Neural stood in his warship just outside GalacticPrime's orbit. He had heard enough. He had seen enough. "I won't sit and wait," he said. "We strike now. We show them we are not afraid." "Sir, that's not advised," his pilot warned. "Do it." The ship powered its weapons. It fired a full barrage of energy blasts at the nearest human vessel. Everyone on the bridge watched the missiles fly straight into the shadowed ship. Then, nothing. No impact. No explosion. The weapons disappeared into the ship's surface like water into a sponge. Neural stared in horror. What is that?" Then the human ship moved. Not fast. Not aggressive. Just enough to turn and face them. Only then did Neural see the truth. What looked like one ship was actually many. Layers of ships. Each one invisible until the other moved. Silent. Deadly. Waiting. His crew screamed. The human ship fired once. Just one silent beam. Neural's ship vanished. No explosion. No sound. Just gone. From the ground, people watched as one of their own warships simply disappeared. No wreckage fell. No flash in the sky. Just a hole where it used to be. That was the moment the truth sank in. This wasn't about power. This wasn't about war. This was fear. Fear made real. And it had taken form above their skies. Inside her ship, Alina gave a final order. "Hold position. No more shots. Let them think. Let them feel." Malik nodded. "They will never forget this day." "They're not supposed to," she said. "That's the point." She looked down at the shaking planet below. "We were silent for a long time. Now we speak with presence." For hours, the human fleet remained still. Above GalacticPrime, the sky looked like it had frozen. No light came from the ships. No sound. No message. Just shadows, watching. Everyone below waited. Some in fear. Some in silence. And some with hope that maybe, just maybe, the humans would speak again. Then at the break of dawn, the sky changed. A single ship moved forward. Sleek, black, covered in markings that no one could read. It came down slowly, carefully, and stopped just above the council hall of GalacticPrime. A light shined from the bottom, and a figure floated down. It was human. Tall, calm, wearing a long black uniform with a silver emblem. No weapons, no armor. Just eyes that looked like they had seen too much. The council leaders stood in a line, shaking. Some guards raised their weapons. "Stand down," said Governor Rixar, his voice weak. "You think those little guns can stop that?" The guards obeyed. The human touched the ground, and then he spoke. "I am Ambassador Cole of Earth." His voice echoed through every speaker on the planet, every screen, every ear. "You called us ghosts. You hunted us like animals. You laughed when we vanished." He paused. "But you never asked why we disappeared." The silence that followed was heavy. Cole looked around the great hall of aliens. His eyes were sharp, cold. "You thought we were dead, but we were watching, learning, waiting." Governor Rixar stepped forward, his mouth dry. We didn't know you were alive. We believed you were extinct." Cole didn't blink. "You wanted to believe that. Because it was easier. Because if we were gone, you wouldn't feel guilt. Or fear." One of the other council leaders tried to speak. We'd regret. Cole raised a hand. Don't. Regret means nothing now. He walked forward. Do you know what fear feels like? Real fear? The kind that sits in your bones and won't leave. No one answered. You felt it yesterday, Cole continued. When your skies turned dark. When your warships vanished. That was us, showing you what fear looks like. One alien counselor stepped forward. Elder Thren, the oldest of them all. What do you want? He asked quietly. Revenge? Cole stared at him. No. That surprised them. We don't want war, Cole said. We want something bigger. Something your kind never gave us. He looked around the room. Respect. The council chamber fell silent. Rexstar whispered, You appeared with ships that could wipe out our whole system, and you only want respect. We already have power, Cole said. We don't need to prove it. He pointed at the sky. Those ships are just the first wave. There are more behind them. Hundreds. Waiting. Then why not use them? Rexstar asked. Cole stepped closer. Because power means nothing if it's used like a hammer. We want order. We want peace. But peace will come on our terms now. He pulled out a small black box. This is the Treaty of Asteron. It's simple. He opened it. Inside were only 2 words written in many alien languages. Leave Earth. The message was clear. You stay away from our world, our colonies, our people, Cole said. Forever. Elder Thren looked at him. And if someone doesn't follow that rule? Cole didn't smile. They'll disappear, like your warship did. No one argued. Not even Rexstar. Above them, the human ship slowly began to move. Not away. Just enough to remind the aliens they were still there. Always watching. Always ready. Cole turned to leave. But before he floated back into the sky, he spoke once more. You called us ghosts, he said. Now you know what that means. Then he vanished. The fleet followed. One by one, without sound, they disappeared into the stars. No warp trail. No signal. Just gone. Back on Earth, in a quiet control room, Commander Malik watched the last feed. He looked at Captain Elena Rourke. Think they got the message? She nodded slowly. They'll never forget it. In the shadows of the galaxy, the humans were no longer the hunted. They were the watchers. The ghosts. And now, everyone knew what it meant when a ghost appeared in the sky.